Okay, good. Welcome to True Health Tuesday. Okay, tonight's about energy. Not lights, but inside. Every patient, and I'm talking, they always put fatigue. Okay, that fatigue's getting to them. And you know, obviously there could be a lot of factors in that. We're not going to cover the conditions like chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia or depression or anxiety that all have fatigue, because those conditions don't actually exist. Boy, can you imagine the YouTube comments I'm going to get on this one? Okay, the symptoms exist, but the disease themselves don't. And the problem, and this is why those diseases are incurable, they're going to treat the symptoms and not the source of them. And if they keep treating the symptoms, there's going to be never a solution. So there's actually 5 basic things that cover energy. And it's kind of like if you walk in a room and the light's off, do you say, oh my God, let's call the power company? Or do you check the light switch first? So all of these things need to be checked in order to find out where your energy level is. Because honest to goodness, if you're waking up excited, happy, and refreshed, you go like gangbusters all day long, you're not limited to any activity that you want. If you want to go hiking in Laguna Canyon, if you want to go bike riding, if you want to sit down and read a book, I mean, you have every opportunity to do anything that you want. And then at the end of the day, you're rested, you go to sleep, you sleep like a baby, and you do the same thing the next day. Okay, if you're able to say, dude, that's me, okay, then you're okay. If not, then we have to look at some issues. Now, it's going to be basic, nutrition and toxicity. That's number 1. Okay, and now if you've ever had a Thanksgiving dinner, anyone want to go jogging after Thanksgiving? No, the turkey runs are before the dinner. Because when you look at it, I mean, because you're eating a massive meal that your body can't digest. It's going to expend all its energy to break down those proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. So you're not going to have it available for appropriate energy. So when I talk about nutrition, I'm talking about actually utilizing the nutrients that you're putting in your system. And toxicities, we're going to talk about the toxic exposures, generally just a little bit of the stuff that we're exposed to today. When it comes to sleep, we're going to talk a little bit about sleep, because if you lay down at the same time every night and you're out like a light and you sleep like a baby and you wake up refreshed, that's good sleep. If you don't, we need to work on it. Water. How many people drink enough water? Good. Okay, about 10%. And I don't even know if you guys are answering correctly. But you're going to find out that you need it. And there's a thing about intracellular and extracellular water that is vital for physiologic processes. Exercise. Now, we only saw a couple hundred people today, but I got a chance to lift most of them. And so that's good, sufficient exercise. But the trick is, you got to do it every day. Okay, I mean, and this is the key to youth. I mean, if all you got to do is exercise to where you're breathing hard and perspiring 6 days a week forever, and your body literally regenerates. And then mindset. So many people don't know it's possible. I've got chronic fatigue, I've got fibromyalgia, all my joints hurt. Yeah, it's going to suck to exercise, and I don't want you to work out. Okay, I don't want you to do things that hurt. Does that make sense? But I'm going to show you a couple of cases, and to start easy. I mean, I don't care if you just swing your legs, okay? That's a good exercise. That's a good start. Almost everyone can do that. Okay, breathing exercises. I've had quadriplegics. I've had Lou Gehrig's patients, and their exercise for the day was to deep breathe without the breathing machine for about 2 to 5 minutes. So exercise can come in any form. Now, we're going to cover this a lot at a health talk at the end of next month. But disease, imagine if disease didn't exist. Now, I got to bring this up now, because when you're talking about energy, people are going to say, well, no, you know, this runs in my family. This is genetic. You know, my father was depressed or had chronic fatigue or anxiety or this. My uncle and cousin and mother brother had it. Wait, no, that's only in Arkansas, right, Michael? That's all one person, by the way. No, when you look at it, There's 5 actual factors to disease, and this is irrefutable. Genes, the genes that you have. Okay, you're going to have blue eyes, dark hair, light hair. But the gene expression is totally different. Gene expression is triggered by your perception and a number of environmental factors. Now, gene expression is in your control. So if you have cancer, diabetes, heart disease, you can express it, okay, or you can suppress it. So that's actually completely in your control. Self-regulation. Now, self-regulation means that your body is self-regulating and self-healing. Now, has anyone ever heard of the problem they have in Africa with giraffes? You haven't heard this? Well, there's a big concern because giraffes don't live as long as other animals like water buffaloes and elephants. And so they were looking into this, and they found out that giraffes have incredibly high blood pressure. So they thought, well, let's do something about this. Let's give all the giraffes diuretics and beta blockers and ACE inhibitors to lower their blood pressure. And sure enough, the blood pressure did lower. And so they're assuming that now that they have blood pressure of a water buffalo, that they're going to live longer. The problem is these giraffe would come in there and they weren't every time they lift their head, they get dizzy, so they couldn't eat the leaves off the tree and they were dizzy. So we gave them some Dramamine and everything seemed to be working right. Okay, we would never do that because that's foolish, okay? And giraffes have the highest blood pressure because they got to have the biggest to pump blood up 15 feet in the air. So this thing here, you are self-regulating. If you're taking a blood pressure or cholesterol drug, you really need to find out why your body is either not regulating or fire the doctor that thinks that you're not self-regulating. Okay. And then habitat. If you look at where you live, is that going to be a factor in health? Okay, so now let's say we have a bear in hibernation. And we check his blood pressure, his metabolism. Then we check a bear in springtime. Would we say, oh my God, your blood pressure is a lot higher and your metabolism is a lot greater? We think that you should be in hibernation state? I know, that's foolish, but what are we doing with blood pressure drugs? We're saying, yeah, you know, your blood pressure should be the same all the time. No, that's foolishness. And we have a lifestyle choices within that habitat. We're going to cover this, but when we cover it in detail, you're going to find out exactly that disease doesn't really exist. It's the body adapting. Now, here, this is, I got to apologize for the small print, but when we're talking about the first point, nutrition and toxicity. Now, currently in California, this law will pass because of the ignorance of our population and the power of the media, that vaccines are going to be forced on the public. Now, within 4 years, adult vaccines are going to be forced on the public. Now, this is an injectable drug. Now, there's no liability for the vaccine companies, but just that aside, we should trust the vaccine manufacturers and the pharmaceutical industry because they don't really make a lot of mistakes. Wait, no, you shouldn't be reading the sign behind me. Okay, you shouldn't be reading that in 2011, about $1 billion was paid in fines, and it killed anywhere between 60 and 139,000 people. Now, if you kill about 100,000 people with one of your products, do you think somebody might be, I don't know, liable? You know, I mean, Dexter kills a bunch of people on TV, but what about Jeffrey Dahmer and all the other mass murderers? This is a big deal. But since the money is spent on advertising, we're not really concerned about that. $1.5 billion for Zyprexa, $1.6 billion for Depakote. Now, I get patients in here taking this stuff. Okay, and they're taking Depakote, Wellbutrin, Elavil, and I'm going, oh my God, what idiot prescribed this to you? Oh, because you're low energy. One of the signs of depression? Okay, and then you look at it and you think, oh my God, you know, Bextra, and this is part of the Vioxx family. Zyprexa, 42,000 side effects, and this could be about as 10%. So we're looking at about between 40,000 side effects and 100,000 side effects. And 2.4 billion for Bextra, 3 billion for Avendia. Now, these are the manufacturers of the injectable drugs. What do they call injectable drugs that we inject 79 doses in kids? What do they call? Vaccines. Oh, good. Okay. Just checking. Now, this is kind of cool. I got this off of, I hope there's not like a copyright, but off of greenmedicalinfo.com. I really love this. But the only immunity given by vaccines is for the legal aspects. It's the immunity from prosecution. And it's true. But those are toxicities. Now, when we look at the health of Americans, we're looking at toxicities. Do vaccines, can those cause an inflammatory response in the body? Yes or yes? Yeah, so we're talking encephalitis. It teaches your body to respond in an inflammatory process, and that just weakens the tissue. Do vaccines, can they cause leaky gut? Absolutely. And that's going to cause an antibody response, an inflammatory response, and all these immune system responses suck the energy right out of you. Well, I mean, out of 17 industrialized countries, America's 17th. We're last. Now, the average person spends $1,000, okay, a year on prescriptions. Now, I don't spend any money on prescriptions. I don't spend any money on over-the-counter drugs. So, wait, most of the people in here don't spend any money on prescription drugs either. Damn, there's a lot of people out there making up for us. You better start buying some drugs to help out. Wait, no, don't. Okay. Okay, now the drugs they're spending on, pain relievers are number 1, cholesterol medications are number 2, antidepressants are number 3. What do you think chronic pain does? Help your energy level or sap your energy level? And this is exactly what I get in the office every time. Pain and low energy. Cholesterol medications. Cholesterol is produced for hormone regulation, inflammatory processes, and tissue repair. It doesn't clog arteries. So we're looking at pain and inflammation. And antidepressants, the side effect of those things are suicide. I mean, it's foolish to begin with. But now there's 60,000 chiropractors in America. There's about 72,000 drug reps. They spend $74 million a day, okay, in advertising. $74 million. Okay, this is why, if you ever watch like TV, ask your doctor if this is right for you. You know, I don't know what it is, but man, I want to run through a field of flowers. Don't you too? You know, it's got to be good. Of course, it'll cause bleeding, sinus problems, and $24 billion a year is spent on on advertisements to doctors. So we need to take charge of our health when we're looking at this. Now, so when we look at energy, we got to look at kind of the difference between how the body works. Okay, it's intelligent. Now there's an axis, and this is called the adrenal pituitary thyroid axis. But now what controls the adrenal gland? Okay, you can always say, oh yeah, energy comes from low thyroid. No, thyroid isn't isolated. Okay, you can say it's adrenal fatigue. No, the adrenals aren't isolated. Anybody that thinks that there's an isolation there is really missing the big picture. You've got a hypothalamus that runs down the nervous system that constantly checks the entire nervous system for environmental stimulus. So, did I just stimulate your autonomic nervous system? Okay, good. Well, not you. You've been here before. Okay. But what happens is that hypothalamus actually got that like stress response. So it's going to tell the thyroid to slow down. So I just slowed down everybody's thyroid. Instantly, the adrenal glands got this idea that, oh my gosh, let's kick up the adrenal glands. So if I kept screaming up here, you'd laugh, but you'd be nervous. Okay, but what that would do, that would eventually put you in adrenal fatigue, okay, unless you found out a different solution for it. But all by your perception of the environment. Does that make sense? So if anybody's been diagnosed with a thyroid issue, it's not a thyroid issue. With adrenal fatigue, it's not an adrenal fatigue issue. You have to look at the physical, chemical, or emotional stressors for this. And that's what's vital, because once you do, everything works right. Now, this is going to be the new science. When enough bodies have been piled up from the vaccines and the forced medical procedure and the forced drugs, where I know it sounds cruel, but we have to go through this change. I mean, you figure new ideas, at first they're ridiculed, then they're violently opposed, then they're accepted as fact. Okay, don't tell me the world, he actually thinks the world is round. Honest to God. Oh, Jesus. Okay, the world is not round. The book says so. Okay, and then, yeah, of course, Columbus just came back. Man, don't worry about it. It's round. Can you see this? Okay, but when enough bodies have piled up from the damage from this, okay, and we're talking over 100,000 people for one drug, wait till the forced vaccines get on the adults. This guy changes the entire picture. It's called allostasis, and this is what the whole world is going to. It's mean your body regulates itself depending on the environmental stimulus. So this means not one blood pressure for everyone, not one cholesterol for everyone, not one blood sugar for everyone, that your body is going to adapt depending on the stressors. So if you go in there and say, yeah, I was at this health talk and my heart rate jumped and my blood pressure jumped, you know, the knowing physician will say, was Bergman speaking? They say, yeah, okay, cool, I know what the cause was, you know. Don't worry, deep breathe, you're going to take a little bit more omega-3s, you'll be fine. So allostasis means the body, and this is where science is going to go, you will no longer be diagnosed with high blood pressure or with high cholesterol or any of those. They're going to look for the physical, chemical, or emotional stressors. They're going to respect your body. They're also going to talk to you about how ulcerative colitis is completely reversible, how Crohn's disease is completely reversible, how depression and anxiety is completely correctable by changing the stimulus up to the brain and the nutrition. It's going to be exciting. Now, when we look at, so we're talking detox, don't take drugs. For food, eat good food. You know, I mean, there's a lot of other toxins out there like fluoride and plastics and BPA and for, you know, we're not going to talk about the chemtrails or the radiation from Fukushima. We're not going to talk about the antibiotics in the meat industry or the glyphosates, the Roundup Ready that's in our water system or sprayed on genetically modified crops. We're not going to talk about plastic wrappers or scented creams or skin creams or sunblock that's toxic. We're not going to talk about any of those toxins because I'm assuming you already know that.
No.
I know, I'm kidding, I know. I do those in all the other talks, okay? We don't have enough time to go through all the toxins of the environment. Okay, but just realize that if you put it on your skin, if you can eat it, it's okay. If it says not for internal consumption, you can't do it. If you're brushing your teeth with something that says don't swallow, honest to God, that's what they put on toothpaste in 2015. Throw it away, you can't use it. Okay, so understand anything that goes on your skin or in your body has to be edible, okay, because you're going to eat it. Now, this is actual food. It needs to be as organic as possible. You can get it frozen, okay, and it needs to be a plant-based diet. It's going to be vital. But if you eat something, and this is really cool, it's called metabolic typing. If you eat a food and you feel better and more energized afterward, then it's good. It means your body's metabolizing it. If you eat something and you feel kind of lethargic and tired, it's hard for you to metabolize. This is why, like, when people first start into a healthy nutrition, we say make sure you get healthy fats. Because, I mean, coconut oil, healthy fish oil, olive oil, palm oil, these are all healthy oils, saturated fats that your body knows how to utilize and they can tolerate high heats. Olive oil you shouldn't cook with, but it's actually good. Fresh flaxseed oil is good, but if it's in a bottle, it can rancidify quickly. So if you're grinding it, it's okay. The poisonous oils are going to be corn oil, cottonseed oil, soy oil, rapeseed, and this is in almost every packaged product. Rapeseed is also called canola oil. I just didn't want to insult the Canadians here. Well, it's called rapeseed, but it's called canola oil from Canadian oil. Okay, but okay. Now the phytonutrients. When you look at this brilliance, okay, the different colors and the different textures have different nutrients. So, and I'm talking healthy starches like healthy potatoes, wild rices. All of these are okay. Okay, you don't need to worry about gluten. You need to worry about toxic, poisonous gluten. Okay, so you know, once the gut is healthy, plant-based diet has varied as possible. And if you have certain digestive issues, you need to fix it. But this is part of where the energy comes from. And by fixing it, I mean if you have bloating, constipation, ulcerative colitis, or Crohn's disease, those are all solvable and correctable in about 30 to 45 days. Okay, but you gotta, you know, we can't go into all of those. Just know it's a temporary condition. Now, a lot of people will say, It doesn't matter if you eat animal products or you eat plant products. And everything comes out of the stomach at the same pH. And they're kind of right, okay, because it does. The problem is when you go through that digestion process, animal products are typically more acidic and it's harder to process that. And plant products are more alkaline and it's easier to process that. So if you have any health issues, reduce your animal product consumption. But you got to figure there's no vegan cultures on the planet. Every culture has gotten some type of proteins from animals, insects, dairy, something like that. So none of these extremes. Try something, okay? As long as it's healthy and good for you, you're going to respond well. It's just if you're eating meat 3 times a day, it's going to be bad for you long term. If you're eating animal products once a month or a couple times a year, you're probably not going to notice any negative effects, maybe even some beneficial effects. So experiment around. Now, this is like just basic for survival on planet in 2015. No genetically modified organisms. None. So that means nothing in a package in America. If it's in a package in America and it doesn't say 100% organic, it's poisonous. No non-organic grains. Again, most grains are sprayed with glyphosates, and this is, the waving golden fields of grain. Well, grain doesn't age at the same time. So they found out if they sprayed it with this poison, it would kill the grain and you could increase the yield or the harvest at least 10%. I know what you're thinking. Doesn't that poison get into the grains and doesn't that get into the food processing? Who brought her? She's entirely too smart for this planet. Okay, but you're right. Okay, so this is why, and this is one of the tough parts because the glyphosates that's in the Roundup Ready, it's a mineral chelator, so it draws the minerals out of you. Okay, and that makes you more susceptible to diseases. So it's just bad. You need lots of vitamin D3. Okay, in almost every area. If you're from Huntington Beach north, you need a lot. Huntington Beach doesn't get enough sun from October to March. So enough to form sufficient amounts of vitamin D3. So if you're in Winnipeg, okay, or further north, doesn't the world drop off after Winnipeg? I don't know, I'm not good with geography. But if you go really far north, you need a lot of vitamin D3. We're talking about 5,000 international units a day for every 100 pounds of body weight. So it's vital. Omega-3s, plant-based, algae-based, or fish-based. The animal-based, it has to be from a healthy animal, for sure. Lugosiodine, absolutely. We get ours from Ancient Purities in England, but make sure it's a healthy, good source. Vitamin C with bioflavonoids, and when I put fresh organic veggie juice, this is to draw out some of the toxins, and there's entire detox protocols that involve chlorella, spirulina. We're not going to get into that because we do those detox videos. This is just a rough overview of what's required. Now, deep sleep. Okay, this is one of the main parts of it. You have to go to bed to achieve. Does anyone in here ever heard of insomnia? Okay, good. That's solvable in about 5 days. I don't care if you've had it 25 years, 30 years. Okay, you have to deal with the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors, but you can achieve REM state of sleep in about 5 days. A brilliant study out of Glasgow. You go to bed at the same time. You limit your body's sleep. Wait, you have a sleep problem and I'm saying limiting your sleep. That should be like a huh? Okay, no, but what happens is we're going to reset the circadian rhythms in your brain. You go to bed at 10 to 10:30, get up at about 4 to 4:30 every night. Now, no naps during the day, and what this is going to do, this is going to freak your body out. So within 5 days, when your head hits that pill, you're going to achieve REM state of sleep. But you also have to do certain things. You have to cover the clock radio with a cloth so you can't see it. It has to be perfectly dark because during the night, everyone opens their eyes a little bit just because we used to be animals, well, more animals than we are now. And, you know, if you see light, it kind of stimulates your fight or flight, so it wakes you up so you can be aware and make sure there's not a tiger gonna, you know, bite you. Okay, so this is absolutely vital. You do, you prepare before bed. You do a little journaling to quiet your mind. You have the white noise on. I mean, there's all sorts of little tricks. Check out our video for sleep, but you have to have deep sleep. drugs that interrupt deep sleep. Okay, and I know it's going to sound weird, but sleep drugs interrupt it. Antacids, high blood pressure, attention deficit disorder drugs. I mean, virtually every drug on the planet. If you're taking a drug, get this, sick people need drugs. They do, they're sick. Okay, the problem is, do drugs get people healthy? No, they keep them a little level of sick. I know this makes sense to you, but not to people taking drugs. Okay, now what's tough is if you start getting a body healthy by doing these lifestyle changes and you're still taking the same drugs, what happens? It keeps you in a sick state. Okay, because if you give a healthy person drugs, what happens to them? They get, I know, isn't that weird? Okay, so what you're going to have to do is, if you're taking a prescription drug and you're making lifestyle changes to get your body healthy, talk to the guy that gave you the drugs. I'm not going to call him a doctor because he's an absolute horrible person, or he's ignorant or evil. I mean, you got two choices. If he's ignorant, he just doesn't understand physiology. If he understands physiology and he's still doing it, then he's flat out evil. So find the source and fix it. Okay, does that make sense? And then once your body's healthy, then you can find a doctor that tells you, yes, you don't require it. The reason okay, a couple of days ago, I got this gal from Arizona that may be pregnant. Okay, so I couldn't take an x-ray, but we were able to do scans. She had leg pain. Now here, 28-year-old gal, nice, she had a little leg swelling, but she had leg pain. And so she goes up to a doctor, and the doctor says, oh, it's blood clots. You can die. Take this blood thinner. And so she had a negative reaction to the blood thinner, so now she has to give her an injection in her thigh every day to thin her blood. And I'm going, what? You know, I mean, blood doesn't clot in the arteries, it clumps in the arteries. Her diet wasn't perfect, but it wasn't horrible. She's a stylist, so there shouldn't be like any, you know, I asked her if she's doing the Brazilians, which is a toxic exposure. You know, not a lot. And then I'm looking at it, and she's got pitting edema in the legs. Then I start looking at it, and I'm going, hon, your leg pain is coming from lack of blood flow, not a blood clot. She has no bruising or anything else, nothing to indicate. I mean, my son's in school now, so he's studying the diagnostics. Okay, and does this drive you crazy if I say, you know, blood thinner for a 28-year-old? Okay, so I told her, since I'm not going to tell her to stop taking a blood thinner, even though it's completely stupid, I can tell her, look, it's completely stupid that you don't really require it. Go to another moron doctor, I mean a medical doctor, and tell him that you have leg swelling and you need a diuretic, and explain that you went to a physician. I'm not going to say a chiropractor. Okay, you went to a physician and he said that you have leg swelling, not blood clots, and that's what was causing the pain. Guess what? The medical doctor is going to say, yeah, you're right. You have leg swelling. It's not blood clot. Here, take this diuretic. And she says, so do you want me to take a diuretic? I said, hell no, you don't want to take a diuretic. Okay, and I had her tap her foot like this, okay, during the exam. Okay, she had both legs are swollen, right? Okay, she tapped her foot for about 3-4 minutes. Guess what happened to her foot? It shrunk up. Okay, so I said, this is just a parlor trick. It means that the leg swelling isn't really even there. The pain in the legs come from the pinched nerves in the low back, causing the pump in the back leg to not work right. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, good. I'm sorry, I had to vent because that drives me crazy. But that's where this stuff comes from. It comes from ignorance, where people are prescribing drugs that the people don't need. No one's suffering from a beta blocker deficiency or an antacid deficiency. We just need to stop that stuff. Now, sleep problems are implicated in diseases. So when I say to get your energy level back, if you do these things, is this going to affect your risk of Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or multiple sclerosis? Yeah, so we can fix that too. Okay, restrict your hours to at least 6 hours a night. Go to bed at the same time. You use our sleep video, but within 5 days you'll get REM state of sleep. If you maintain that within 21 days, you're going to have deep sleep. Water. Now this guy, I can't pronounce his name, but it's Batman Gunji. Okay, he's written several books on water, and it is brilliant, brilliant. And you're not sick, you're thirsty. Asthma, arthritis, allergies, and when we say 50% of your body's weight in ounces a day, 200-pound man, 100 ounces of water. Now that's like 3 liters. That's a lot, okay? But you have to do it. Is there any substitute for drinking water? No. You just have to. But you can't drink water a half hour before a meal, during a meal, or a half hour after, because you need the stomach acid to break down food. So you have to drink a lot throughout the day. There's no alteration of this. Now, what type of water? Now, tap water, I know it's going to make, do they fluoridate water in Canada?
Yep. In Australia.
Oh, okay. In Australia too?
Yep.
Okay. So the world's still a little messed up, okay? But when we look at it, the fluoride's poisonous, okay? But the pH in tap water is okay. Now we're getting a lot of poisons inside of the water system. Like, since we have so many genetically modified foods or plants, we're spraying it with glyphosates, it's getting in the groundwater, and that's getting in our taps. So you need to either get filtered water, which is unregulated in America. Those little plastic bottles of water, okay, they're completely unregulated. I mean, you could go in there and put it in, fill it with a hose and put a name on it and set it on a table. No one's going to check it. You could call it Bergman Spring Water. Michael, I just got an idea. Yeah, Heidi, get the hose. No, okay, so it could be anything. Now the problem is, it contains a ton of chemicals, bacteria. This is why a lot of the bottled water. There's a movie called Tapped. I'd recommend you watch it. But the pH that comes out of the faucet is pretty high pH. It's actually an alkaline. Not for health, but it's good for the pipes. It really is. The city understands that if you have an acidic water, it damages the copper and pipes. Now, alkalinized water is really good. They're nice machines. It's a good idea, but the filters for the fluoride are really poor. And, you know, I mean, Kangen water's a nice $1,200 machine for only around $4,000. Okay, but the filter for the fluoride isn't good, and I haven't seen any studies on if it removes the fluoride. And when I was asking people, you know, show me studies that it removes fluoride, I never got a really good answer. But these are okay, but if you have a plant-based diet and you could find a way to filter tap water, we're going to save a lot of money. Now, reverse osmosis, I don't recommend it, okay, even though this is where most of the water filters at like Home Depot and everything are, because it removes the minerals, okay, and a lot of times it doesn't remove the fluoride, and it can actually concentrate some of the heavy metals in there. So it's not the best system either. One of the best systems that I've found, and obviously fluoride is poisonous, there's a couple of communities now that are starting to wake up to the fact. There's a really good book called Science for Sale by an EPA scientist who got fired from the EPA. How he kept out of jail is amazing. But the fluoride is just poisonous. It shouldn't be in the water. This, Dalton USA, is probably one of the best filters I've seen. It's about $275. It hooks up to a water faucet. We use the industrial version, but it has fossilized algae clay that's mixed with colloidal silver. So that's like a really good filter. Kills the bugs, filters a lot of the gunk. But then it has a secondary filter that filters out the fluoride. So this is as good a water as you're going to get by filtering the tap, and it's reasonably priced where families can have 6,000 liters of water for about $275. And the replacement filters are only around $70, $80. So phenomenal. And I mean, this one, DaltonUSA.com, I recommend it. Now, exercise. Remember, we're just covering the stuff, rough overview for energy. Movement every day, absolutely. Okay, you have to move it every day. But one of the things, I want you to move correctly, because if you've never done an exercise program, most people start lifting weights like this, okay? Now what happens when the arm is out like this, your muscles are composed of these little tiny filaments, actin and myosin filaments. There's not a lot of strength there. So when you do bend your arm, these little tiny filaments that are composed, that what the muscles are, they get closer and closer. This is why here you don't have a lot of strength, but here you got a lot of strength. So I recommend starting exercising here, going up really slow and going down really slow. And those are the absolute best exercises. Now, two types. Resistance training is when you're lifting when you're lifting a resistance. So when you're resistance, that's good, okay. And then the other one is aerobic, where you're breathing hard. Try and do the resistance first because you have more glucose available for muscle contractions. You're going to get more energy out of it. Now, you have concentric and eccentric contractions. So concentric means the muscle's getting towards you. Eccentric means it's going away from you. So you get more strength if you use it going away from you. I mean, when me and my son go to the gym, he says, "Dad, you're scaring people." Because, you know, I'll be on there and I'll go, you know, and I'm screaming and breathing and screaming and breathing and screaming and breathing. I'm only moving this far, okay? But you can move a tremendous weight like that, okay? And you will scare people, but it's okay. You're just exercising correctly. They're not. Okay, now this is the last one, stress. So when we look at this, how you need to have healthy nutrition, eliminate the toxins, deep sleep, you have to have healthy amounts of water, proper exercise. Now you have to have the mindset. Because what if you've had chronic fatigue for 20 years? What if you had a leg cut off by a traffic accident? What if you fell off a ladder in Germany and messed up your neck? I don't know if that pertains to anyone here. So what if you've had these damages? You know, it's going to be hard to get back into a workout routine, right? Does that make sense? So start low, but remember, you are control. You absolutely are control of the outcome. Okay, because the event you can't control. Like you could have been hit by a car, leg swelling from toxicity, some kind of damage. Your response to that is everything. And your response can be turning into a plant-based diet, okay, eliminating medications, getting your nervous system checked. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, and that massively affects the outcome. So you have to realize that you're in charge of this. I mean, this patient here, 88 years old, she comes in a wheelchair, and all she wanted to do was be able to raise her hands over her head. And she, you know, 88 years old, had her leg cut off in a traffic accident in 1979. I mean, a lot of young gals, if they had their leg lopped off, they wouldn't want to keep going on. It'd be a real challenge. And she has got a brilliant sense of humor. She's accomplished a lot, family, kids, I mean, amazing. Okay, and all she wanted to do was raise her hands over her head. That's her. I know. She sent me this picture. She said, "Hey, the exercises work." And I thought, okay, cool. You're just darling. Okay, and I said, "Should I cover up your face?" She says, "No, I want to show people." So it's in the exercise we had, here she is. She's in a wheelchair. She had little 2-pound weights, and this was what she was doing in a chair. Okay, so I mean, the exercise doesn't need to be extremely aggressive, but the benefits are incredible. And I mean, she can do this for forever, and she's just going to keep getting better. When we change the mindset, because what's her mindset? It's not like, "Oh, help, send me to the assisted living center." It's like, "My God, I got to get something off the top shelf." You know, she wants to get the job done. But this, crisis, and I love the Chinese character, danger and opportunity. That's what everything is, because if we have a mindset, like let's say your sedentary lifestyle, you're depressed, you're anxious. If you had any goal or any aspiration to greatness, would you sit on the couch and stay home and have no energy? No, I mean, I got to tell you, I can work a bunch of hours here and I feel great at the end of the day, maybe a little tired. If I stay home and watch movies, okay, how much energy, are you exhausted and wiped out? Are you with me on that one? Okay. It was fun though, wasn't it? But you can't do it every day because you'd be wiped out. It sounds weird, but your mindset, because some people are sucked into that where they can't see that there is a goal, that they need to do something, and this is where a lot of energy lies. So it has to do with your mindset. Now, can you get something to do something that can you get someone to do something that they don't want to do? Okay, we got some people saying no, some people saying yes. No, I guarantee you it's yes. Okay, you just have to find the motivating factor. So now we go down to the smoke shop, find somebody out there chain smoking. If you say don't stop smoking, stop smoking now, and you hold a gun to their head, they might stop. I mean, some people might smoke, but that's good incentive, right? Okay, I think it's, you got to find the motivating factor. So when you find the motivating factor for this, you have to change your mindset that energy is possible for you. So now affirmations I'd recommend, or incantations for everyone. Because if you've been tired, if you've been down for a long time and you want to start achieving energy, you have to have the mindset first. So I don't care if you're wheelchair bound, chronic disease, MS, joints hurt, anything else. You start with present tense, and it has to be dynamic, okay? And you can say things, anything that you want during these incantations. I start every day with the same ones, and I have a brutal 10-minute commute to get to work. So, no, I actually hit like 2 stoplights, okay? It's tough. But in that 10 minutes, I'm screaming. So by the time I get to the office at 4:45 in the morning, I feel pretty good. Okay, so do this, practice this, and how you do it. When you get that, and make sure when you're doing it, you say things like, I am healthy, I am dynamic, I am alive, I am vibrant. The I am is so powerful, and this is what generates energy. If you're sitting on a couch, you've been on the couch for 2 years, you can't move, and you sit up and you have the body posture of strength. You breathe like you're strong and confident, and you say, I am powerful, I'm dynamic. How many people would feel that way? Like in seconds. Oh my God, it's called changing your state. So you can do this, and that will generate energy. It's the whole thing. It's changing your mindset from victim to being in charge of your life. And it does require, and when we talk about changing your state, and this is one of our health talks about changing that state of the mind to rewire your brain, it's possible, but it does require body posture, breathing, voice language, and tone. Okay, and everything. If you learn that, you're down home. And set a goal. When you're talking about energy, when you're talking about setting goals, make it limitless. Okay, one of the tricks that we do is do 100 things to do, be, or become. So you take a sheet and write down 100 things to do, be, or become. Now, you could do easy 20 or 30 of them, right? But when you get to 40 and you get to 60 and you get to 80, okay, you're tapping into this universal intelligence that's inside of your mind that's really connected to everyone. And all of a sudden you're going to make up stuff like, I don't know, learn Swahili, ride the back of a giraffe. I don't even know if you can ride giraffes, but I'm going to try it. And then you get to 89, 90, you're going to be making up stuff. I don't know, chase down a kangaroo, I don't know. Okay, can you catch kangaroos? All of that stuff. But then, in a car I can. but then you put next to each one of those 100 things, because it's an exercise to expand your potential. You put a 1, a 5, or a 10 next to each one, and you're going to do it in 1 year, 5 year, or 10 years, and then it seems more real. And then you pick the top 5 of each one, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, my brain has expanded from the small world I thought it was to this limitless adventure. Okay, so it's absolutely phenomenal. But that exercise of doing 100 things to do, be, or become, it makes all of this stuff possible. It's like go skydiving. Has anyone in here ever wanted to go skydiving but hasn't? Okay, hasn't yet? Okay. Yeah, I told my son one day, I said, yeah, I'd love to go skydiving someday. He said, okay, Dad, we're going next weekend. No. I said, someday. He said, no, Dad, we're going. So we got in the car and we went, and it was fun, except if you go skydiving, you put on this suit that on the back of the suit, I know what they put it on the back because you don't really want to read it. It says the person wearing the suit may die or is doing an exercise does it say something like that, buddy? Yeah, it's really scary, but you can do anything. Okay, so these are the 5 keys for dynamic health. You literally need nutrition and eliminate toxicities, sleep, lots of water, exercise, and mindset. And honest to goodness, if you do these, can you see that your energy level would change immediately just by doing one of them? But if you do all 5, this is guaranteed. Okay, guaranteed. Okay, now next week we are talking about viral shedding. How vaccines actually spread diseases. The mechanism inside it, how the live vaccines actually do spread diseases, and they've been spreading diseases since the early 1800s, okay, when they first came out, late 1700s. It's going to be wild.